All right, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Going Rogue podcast. This is actually going to be our season finale. So I've never put much work into changing season 1 versus season 2 and all that. But next year and Matt selling the gym and potentially moving and all of those things are going to switch it up, we're just going to go ahead and call it a wrap. We'll also have better audio. You're welcome. For the love of God, go sponsor us. But I hope that works out well. I'll keep playing with the settings to try and fine tune it, but we've got a good system now, I think, that'll allow me to do that. So hopefully that works out well for all of us. What you guys are going to see in this episode is a bunch of ADs. I wanted to kind of explain the why to you guys and to get other people who have been doing this longer than me to explain the why. So I've AD'd 1, 2, 3, 4 games now, which is by far not a ton. But it's something that I seem to be doing regularly and putting a lot of time into. So I'm trying to draw on the experience of those people that know more than me, and try to give a better product to you guys. Maybe I'll rant about that while I'm sitting here alone because I forgot Danny was Central, not in Eastern time. So long story short, guys, what I wanted to do... first, ad reads. Sorry, they're boring. I can see that most of y'all skip them. Spotify lets me see that. Please stop. Just listen to them. They're really quick. I'll make them super fast. Badger Highland Games Fly, Greg Martz makes some of the best stuff in the games. You can find him on Instagram and on Facebook. Hit him up. Tacky, sheaf bags, sheaf forks, hammers, weights, all that stuff. Anything he's got in stock, he will ship to you. They're very well priced. Chemstud is an app developed by the same guy that developed Heavy Athlete. That's why we keep talking about it. If you need to solve chemistry, if you've got high schoolers and you need to be able to fact check their homework, get Chemstud, man. Spend the $5 or whatever it is in the app store and you can have an app on your phone solve all your chemistry equations. Or if you work for some aerospace contractor, I won't tell them that you use an app. I don't care. Let's see, what else? The Barn Gym still exists as of right now, so by all means, stop by and check those guys out. They just wrapped up the Brutal Winter Strongman show for December. The Woodridge Highland Games. This lovely place I've definitely set up in front of and is not at all just a photo. It'll be our second year out there, guys. It really is a fantastic venue. We are expanding to 2 days, and we are going to host the Blue Ridge Championship. So I'll go in depth about that at some point. But as of right now, we've got $900 in amateur prize money on the line. For the championships, not the general AMs, but the championship AMs. That is going to be invite only for the states that you see listed on the Heavy Athlete profile for that game. You can also follow along with any of the updates on our website, goingrogue.com. Goinroguepodcast.com. I don't know. It's linked. You can find it. But please go check that out. If you know people that want to sponsor pros or sponsor us or do anything like that, it definitely helps. We're going to put the game on. I'm going to do all this stuff regardless, and I'll hunt around. But the more of you I have helping, the easier it makes it. And if you aren't in one of those states and you want to qualify, show up and win the amateur division, and I'll invite you next year. Sportkilt. Go use our code at Sportkilt. That helps us out. They are tracking the numbers. A good number of y'all have this year, and I definitely appreciate it. But you're a newbie getting into the game, or just somebody who wants a second, third, fourth kilt. I don't judge. We don't kilt shame here. So go grab one, use code ROGUE24 at checkout, and that will help us out a good bit with them. So, all right. A little more in depth about this episode. I wanted to break down the why. I think it's very easy for seasoned athletes to get our egos a little inflated or just genuinely forget why the ADs are asking us to do some of the things they're asking us to do. And I wanted to have a gentle or not so gentle, depending on how these go, reminder of that. And then for the new athletes, I wanted to give you guys kind of a peek behind the curtain. I don't like having everything split. I don't like pros that don't talk to AMs. I don't like ADs that don't explain what they're doing. I think it's shady. I think it's shitty. I don't think anybody should be doing that. So part of the reason I wanted to do this episode was to kind of open that door, to make it all seem more tangible, to make your ADs seem more like real people that you can go talk to. And if your ADs don't, if you have ADs that just don't prioritize you as an athlete, go find another one. The sport is finally coming back, and I think some of the guys that you're going to see on this episode, and girls, um, are going to showcase that we do have a lot of good people who are trying to do the right thing in this sport right now. And so if you're somewhere where you aren't being provided the service you wanted or you aren't getting the competition that you wanted, you can find one out there. You may have to travel a little bit, but look around, seek them out. Go on heavyathlete.com. That was a sponsor, I forgot. Check for upcoming games, check your rankings, be competitive. I'm hoping this kind of helps bridge a lot of gaps and gets ADs fired up to do better, athletes fired up to understand more, and maybe just help everyone out with info. I think the more info that's out there, the better. So that's what I was hoping to do with this whole platform, and that's what I'm hoping to accomplish today. Or maybe I'll just drink 2 more eggnogs and I'll get more all over the place. But thanks, guys. So I didn't give you a lot of heads up, but I wanted to do an episode where I got like you and really any other AD that I know and I can get a hold of to go through some questions that like people had given me, and then also just I think general things to kind of give a background as to why people put on games, why we all bother to, and like stuff that kind of people may not know, clear up misconceptions so that some athletes can stop being prima donnas, but I don't think that's going to fix everyone, you know. And honestly, so some ADs can
There's
stop.
nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been guilty of it. That's half the reason why I know it happens, you know. So, but yeah. So, do you got anything you want to start off with before I roll into all that? I mean, you just got your rule book, I think, more or less tidied up. We can talk about that. We can talk about really anything before we get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've been kind of looking over that rule book for a little while, and I really didn't change a lot. I don't know if you had a chance to read it or anything, but
Yeah.
it's basically what was on NASGA. I just updated the language and then added some clarification for tiebreakers because there really wasn't anything in there for tiebreakers or what. The only big change that I made was there was a rule where coming in later in the height events did not count for you nor against you, and I kind of changed that. Uh,
Tell me about
I
that.
reward the person. I reward the person who comes in at a later at a greater height.
Yes.
So if at the end of the competition, say me and you tie, and we go through countbacks, and we have the same amount of misses all the way through, and we do that, and it's still tied at the end.
Mm-hmm.
If you came in at 14 and I came in at 13, you're going to have more throws. I'm going to have more throws than you.
Yeah.
So you get the nod, you get the winner because you came in and you had fewer throws. So it goes back to total throws as the ultimate tiebreaker. And of course, if me and you came in at the same height and we have the same, it's just going to be a tie.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's going to be a tie.
That is what it is. But yeah.
And
No,
I
I
changed
like
the
that.
overall.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I had a lot of people that always wanted to say, well, if I came in at 12, I should get the nod over someone who came in at 15 because I had to hit more heights. No, the person that came in 15 is probably better than you.
Yeah, and they
So
also took
no,
more risk. I mean, even if you look at it as you both ended in the same place, they risked more by doing it. You know.
absolutely. Greater risk, greater reward.
Yeah, I
Plus,
should benefit them
I
to
don't,
do that, not just from a fatigue standpoint on the day, but I like that idea.
and you didn't waste 30 minutes of my time coming in at 4 feet under what you should have.
Exactly. So I ran into that exact same situation up at No Fame's game that I did this year, and that judge actually knocked
Yep.
me down a point where I came in at 13, someone else came in at 12. We both went out at 14. He actually put me down one. It didn't affect on the day, but
Uh, the rules stated in NASGA, should not harm nor assist
yeah,
you.
it was.
So it didn't matter. It's, so whoever interpreted those rules, I don't know. I know where it came from. It's the majority of people who are not as good at weight over bar always wants the advantage for coming in early, which if you do that, weight over bar and sheep's is going to last forever for the rest of your life, because if you're going to make that into a rule, then it benefits you coming in when the competition begins.
Yeah, yeah, and what
So,
good am I doing anybody by throwing
I,
10 feet?
I'm getting away from that.
You know? Yeah, no, I like that.
Say
So
what?
I said, what good am I doing anybody by coming in at
Yeah,
10 feet? You know?
yeah, you're right. Sheep, you can do that because sheep really doesn't wear you out. You can take 30 sheep pulls and be as fresh as anything. Weight of a bar, it does wear you out.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, well let's get into some of these
I
questions.
think you got a bad connection.
Let's see.
Sounds like you're being taken over by the Decepticons. It sounds like you're playing the gayest banjo ever.
I mean, if I was going to play a banjo, that's how I'd play it, Danny. Hang on, we're gonna do a little relocating here. Yeah. All right, let's see. How's that working for you?
I can hear you fine right now.
All right, good deal. I'm so glad I bought these new microphones, and I can't even use them because I got to plug into the power port because my Wi-Fi is being stupid. All right, whatever, man. We'll get it working before too long.
Yep,
All right, so the stuff that we're actually going to get to, we'll edit this out. No one will know this ever happened.
that's right.
But what I wanted to ask, or where I wanted to start off was, when was the first game you ever ran? Do you remember?
First game oh yeah, it was August the 1st of 2020.
Okay. Where was it
It
at?
was a back. It was in Lebanon, Tennessee. It was the Backyard Rebellion. It was the game during the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
that got us all started. So I had almost 100 athletes out there in the middle of. I was on private property, and it was a huge thing. It was the only show in town, basically, because everything else was shut down. No one was running festivals or games other than just a few friends getting together under the cover of darkness. And I think we were one of the first groups to basically say screw it, and we had a huge get together.
Nice. Um, and then compare that to, when was your most recent game?
The most recent game was Gulfport, Mississippi, Veterans Day weekend, so last month, and it was a 2-day game, Highlands and Islands down at the Gulf Coast.
All right. So then yours is going to be a little different than how I'd imagine this for most people because your first game was during COVID, so it's going to be very different. But in general, from like first starting out till now, how have those things? How have your games changed? What's gotten better? Has anything gotten worse? Just what's been the direction things have been heading in?
What's gotten better is well, figured out what I was doing. I leaned on heavily the first games I ran on a lot of people, Merle Lawless, Kerry Overfelt, Chad Clark,
Mm-hmm.
Greg
Who
Marks.
keeps refusing to come on this podcast despite how much he says he loves me? Chad.
That's Chad, man. Just you got to nail him down. You basically got to trick him. Bring him to a dog park or something with
Dude,
his
I've
dog, and
threatened him with everything but arrest at this point, and
he's not scared of that.
he's not.
Not Chad.
So, oh,
But yeah, and we figured out a little bit more better ways to run it, and I've got my own equipment and getting things. I've learned a lot about the business side of running games in the past 5 years or 4.5 years, and that's really helped me out and has really shaped me and how I'm going forward. And I put a post out just the other day of what you can expect in 2025, how we're going to modify and tweak things to be more athlete friendly and go further that way. And so I'm always constantly trying to learn a little bit what we did good, what we did bad, take it what it is, and be a little bit better next time.
good deal. What are the things that you've tried to keep constant? going over all the games that you posted? Is it the athlete centric side of things? Is it something else? I mean, what has been a staple of backyard? You know, what's something that no matter which game you're putting on, it's gonna have X.
I want a structured game. I want the athletes to want to be there and have fun because a happy athlete puts on a show. I don't. I I'm trying to make sure there's no delays in our games. I want to make sure the athletes roll through. If you're there at 9 a.m. throwing, I want the athletes done, finished by 4, whether
Yeah.
we doing 9 events or not. I want you in and out. I want smooth, fluid. I want to have the best implements that you can have. I'm going to set you up in thrower friendly fields and trigs the best that I can, and my staff is going to be run you through the games. They're not going to get involved. The judges are not part of the show.
Yeah.
They're there to move it along, and we're going to have rules and we're going to follow through it. But it's I'll take pride in making sure that it's athlete centric, and I want the athletes to have fun and put you out there.
Good. How many games are you running every year right now? Like, how many did you run in 2024?
Uh, Directly ran, I believe, 8, and provided the equipment and or had another team, another 2. So right around 10 games a year.
Okay. Are they? Do you tend to just kind of string them out pretty evenly throughout the year? I mean, you're in a pretty warm part of the country where I think you can afford to do that. But are they pretty spread out?
The most of them are in the fall.
Okay.
I start running games usually around the third weekend of September, and it's every weekend then until October. It's uh, one, two, like 5 weekends in a row where I'm running a game. I did get one of the games moved to the spring. So this spring, I'm running a game in March, April, May, and June also. So it's spread it out just a little bit, but it doesn't take my load off because the first weekend of October, I was actually running 2 games on that same day. Me and one of my judges would be in West Monroe, Louisiana, and my other crew would be up in Huntsville, Alabama, running the game. So I got
Okay.
the Huntsville game moved to May this year, which we're really excited for.
Awesome. Good to hear it. Let's see. One of my own little questions. What's something from an AD perspective that you wish more athletes knew? Is there a question that you end up answering more often than anything else, or a kink in the chain somewhere that if you could just wave a little wand and get everyone on the same page?
Well, it depends. Are you talking about the actually game day stuff or leading up to it?
You know what? Let's go both. You know, we got a minute.
Well, the game day stuff would be, I wish the athletes knew. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to think about that for a second. You're going to have to do a lot of editing.
That's fine.
Maybe the easy part of the go will be leading up to the game and how much planning actually has to go into this. It's not just you fill out a roster and everything, but a lot of it, I guess, what I wish the athletes know was that actual budget and how the money that you put into it and what it goes to, because a lot of time there's misconceptions of, well, we're the entertainment, we shouldn't have to pay for anything. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the festivals are not paying for it either.
No.
They can only
No pressure.
afford so much. So I wish they knew more about the actual budget and the business side of it and why we can't do this or why we can do that. And if they actually saw how far their $40 went for a registration, they'd be like, well, I can't believe you're only charging $40.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree wholeheartedly. Um.
And a lot of the issue also is, especially it just where you're at, and it varies, but people are not throwing money at this game. And if I can't promise a business a return on their sponsorship, it's difficult to get that sponsorship. And if I don't live in that town where that game is, and I put on 10 games a year, none of them in my hometown. It's hard for me to go from business to business to get a sponsorship. So
Yeah,
it's very, very difficult to do that.
yeah, 100%. So those are definitely some good points.
Yeah.
Um,
Game day stuff. Um, I wish they knew how, and I don't want to come off as negative on this, but
no, it's constructive. We're giving people information to use positively should they choose to.
your
You know?
behavior on the field and around the crowd directly impacts our ability to do what I was just talking about with the budgeting and finding more money to offer more perks for the athletes. If
Yeah,
if you are negative or not interacting with the people who come out to see you and you're not creating an impact, the people who run the festival sees that and they start looking at us like, well, you're not really needed. And if they get the attitude that we aren't really needed, it's hard for me to ask for more money. If I
yeah,
can't get more money, but you want to add in a lightweight women's class, I've got to get another judge. I got to get another hotel room. So that's got to come from somewhere. It's going to I either got to get more money from the festival or I've got to raise registration fees.
yeah,
So I just wish they would know a little bit more about the business and realize what we are doing out there, what you are doing out there directly impacts a athletic director's ability to offer more next year.
yeah, yeah. 1,000% on that one. I had one game where I was last year very, very lucky that the festival got nothing but good impressions, and it made it easier. I went back and they are upping their budget and they're turning it from a 1 day game into a 2 day game, and they like it makes it so much easier. If everyone represents us well, we can do a lot more with that as the game goes, you know?
Yep.
And it takes a 2 minute interaction that couple of seconds that that festival director decided to go walk by the games field instead of be with their vendors or be with their clans or wherever else. It could be a game changer between them having a very good impression or a very poor one, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Or walk past the clan tents and
yep.
say, hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting us. Because just
Mm,
telling someone thanks for supporting us, whether they supported you or not, it puts a thought in their head and you may get a little bit more support. Plus, they're going to remember you because you took time out of your day and you're one of the athletes that they saw.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
just little
100%.
little things like that that you don't think about that actually does,
Yeah. Or it's
put
some
put
show in the
positive.
crowd. And, yeah. Somebody goes and puts a picture on Facebook, but they're tagging the venue, and the venue's seeing that interaction somewhere, that
Yeah.
it's got people excited and enjoying it.
Yeah,
It helps.
me and a few of my friends, whenever we're competing, and when I'm an athletic director, I don't get to do it as much because I got so much stuff going on. But at the end of the day, me and a few other guys that compete in my class, like we'll go to the crowd and we'll start shaking everybody's hands, telling them thank you for coming out, giving the kids high fives, and we may not talk to that crowd all day long, but at the end of the day, we're going through giving everybody high five, making them part of the show, and that's just a positive thing to do, and it gets a lot of good feelings as they're leaving.
That's how I know the off season's going well. I'm always stiff.
Yeah, yeah. Wait till you're 47.
God bless. If I'm lucky enough. Um, so I had a really, really broad question of why do you do it? Um, like why do you keep running games? What's the what's the point? None of us are making a ton of money doing this. I already know that.
No,
So
actually, I enjoy it.
yeah,
Uh, and when it goes back to it, if I'm not doing it, who's going to?
yeah. I'd agree wholeheartedly. That's why I threw that question in there because my answer is pretty much exactly the same. It's real short and it's real simple. I think some people, when I get Josh on here, there's a very good chance he's going to be Josh and he's going to have some incredibly amazing story about living in a
Yeah,
mountain somewhere for 6 months. That's
yeah,
why he runs
you're
the
right.
Highland. That's great. I'd like that perspective as well. But yeah, mine's right there. I just there was a demand for more games. I enjoy
Yep.
doing it. Why not? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I became an athletic director because I got pissed off during COVID and didn't understand why I couldn't go out and compete in the most social distancing sport on earth because no one wants to
Yeah.
be around a bunch of 300-pound guys throwing heavy stuff, and I couldn't go do it. Yeah, so and then people said, "Oh yeah, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it," and then I had to, pull up or shut up, and then it happened.
Yeah. All right. Um, let's see. I'm gonna save my other one for the end, and I'll go over the two that I got back as a response on social media. Which was one, a new pro, Newkirk, asked what AD's advice is for new pros who are trying to network and to get into more games and things like that. To give you a little direction, I mean, should they be focused solely on numbers? Should they be focused solely on networking? Should it be a blend of it? Is there some other thing? What do you look for when you're figuring out who you're inviting?
Uh, well, I'm going to give an answer, and it may not be a popular answer, but it's an answer. My advice to pros and new pros is don't expect to make all of your money back this year.
Yeah.
If you're a new pro and I don't know you, reach out to me and talk to me. Now, it may be an instance where you're wanting to get into a game, but I've got my 5 invites that's been loyal to me. I'm not going to kick them out. And unfortunately, when it comes to budgets, I can't just add another pro place because I make sure my pros, if it's an invite game, make minimum $500 a person plus hotel rooms. So I guess to make the long story short, be willing to travel to this game, and I may cut you a deal. I like doing purses also. I'm trying to get away from just having 5 guys there or 4 guys there, giving them all $500 and putting a prize purse out there
Mm-hmm.
and paying for a hotel room.
Yeah.
You may have to travel on your own dime, but I'll put you in the game. Come prove yourself and win some money.
Yeah.
And if you do that, if you travel and you do that to what I call my opens, which I did my open rebellion this year in Mississippi with the payouts for 3 different classes. If you show up and put your own money on the line and show me that you can come, you can throw good also, and
Mm-hmm.
I can rely on you, you're more likely to get an invite in the future when I do get an invite only game.
Yeah.
And the only invite only games I'll do from now on probably will be the games that I don't have a budget to do an open because I really did like the open format. I think it was successful
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of bucked the system a little bit. But hey, I I think that's the future of games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree.
be willing to travel, maybe on your own dime for a couple of years, get to know. And if I've got a pro that will spend his own money to come support my game, yeah, uh,
Yeah.
I'm
It.
going to throw you some money if you can place, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can get you a hotel room. It just depends on what's going on. And if you're a pro and you want to do one of my games, whether I got a pro class or not, I'll let you come throw, and I'll waive your registration fee. I'll send you
Yeah.
a code. You can register for free, but you're going to have to prove to me that you're dependable, and understand that I don't have the money. I don't have the money. I can't go out and create it.
Yeah. It doesn't come out of thin air.
No,
All right. The only other question, which I don't think necessarily pertains to you, but we can morph it a little. Somebody asked, why do scores take so long to go in? I think you're pretty good. Most of yours are going in that week, as long as we can get everything sorted out. And you've been a big part of us trying to get things straight on heavy athlete, as far as what makes it easier for ads to enter scores. Why do you think it takes some people so? I mean, some of these games will be 4 months later, and we're all still
honest,
sitting.
honest answer.
Yeah.
The other athletic directors don't care about your scores going in. they,
Bingo.
they have no they don't care. I know a few of us that like that. But they're honest about it to begin with. They say, hey, if you want your scores entered, you better take a picture of the score sheets. And some of them like to say at the end of the day goes, hey, if you want to enter the scores, here they are. They'll hand you all the score sheets.
Yeah. I have always hated that. Like my own quick little rant. I talked about it very, very briefly on Instagram the other day. I I think if we want the sport to be anything close to legitimate, allowing athletes to just input their own scores is just begging for problems.
Yeah.
I know it's the way it's always been done, but NASCA's domain license runs out in less than 6 months, and
Mm-hmm.
5 of the championships now are using heavy athlete. The AD is going to be the one putting in those scores, because it's unified. We're trying to make it potentially down the road sort of like you could authorize, like you said, you have 2 games going on in 2 different locations. You could still be the athletic director, but you could authorize John Smith over here to be your person to put in scores for your games. You could pick a couple of people, but I personally have always been driven nuts by ADs going, well, just go enter your own scores. And it,
Well, and that's going to have to happen with some games because there's some games where the athletic director is, I mean, to be honest with you, in their upper 70s.
yeah.
They're
Well,
not going
even
to want
Chad, God love him, he has Matt put in the scores for his games this year because Matt
to. Yeah.
knows how to work the athlete, and Chad doesn't want to learn how to work it, and that's
I
fine.
don't think I don't think keyboards are big enough for Chad's monster fingers.
That's also very true. They haven't made one yet. So
I hope he listens to this and gets a kick out of this.
he won't. I showed him how to add it to his thing, and I don't think he's listened to a single episode. But I'll make sure he knows. I'll call him tonight and tell him. So
Yeah. Get your boss of sausage fingers on the keyboard and see if you can type a
yeah, wipe the
sentence.
Taco Bell grease off and start putting in scores, man.
But yeah, they just don't, and yeah, that's their prerogative. I've put in many a game scores for different athletic directors over the years.
Yeah, which again, I don't mind it being like, hey, here's some trusted people, and
Yeah,
I even talked to Mike about this today, who is heavy athlete, the programmer. He's the guy. It's really his.
I talked to
Like,
Mike on the phone the other day.
yeah, like we don't. Heavy athlete isn't going to become a governing body, so I don't want to give it that way. I want it to have some air of legitimacy if we can. I don't want it to be the Wild West of score entering. I want it to be when you look and see XYZ game, you know who put those scores in. You know that it was someone who was at some level of authority in that game.
Yeah.
You and I have had the same conversation before about world records and what good does it do me to weigh the implement 17 days later on some random post office well after everyone's thrown. It's just we got to narrow the funnel a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, not all the way.
Great.
It's part of what makes the sport fun, but at the same time, there's got to be something there. If you're going to use scores to invite people to big games and to do rankings and do all that, there should be some level of, you know, legitimacy or liability, whichever word you want to use. Like you should be able to track it back to something that matters. But
Yeah.
I'm getting off topic of what I wanted my own daggone episode to be about. So, um,
That's the way, but that's the best way to do a podcast, isn't it?
yeah, and that's what I was. It gets somebody a little spun up, and we talk about something, and it makes it a little more interesting. So,
Yeah.
the last question that I had was, if somebody's looking at their schedule and they could go to your game or someone else's, why would they go to a backyard game?
Oh, because we're going to
To
have fun.
your own horn for a minute, what are you doing differently or better or whatever?
We're going to have fun. I'm going to get as many events as I can, depending on the time of year and location. I'm going to make sure the implements are flyers. I think 4 or 5 of my implements are world record implements, including the 56 weight for distance. I've got the 56 weight for distance world record implement, Spencer through it. I've got Masters women's implements that are world records, Masters men's, a little bit of everything. We're going to get you in. I'm going to give you a schedule. We're going to follow the schedule. I'm going to have a set rule book. We're going to follow the rules. You're going to know what to expect. I'm going to give away good awards for winning, and we're going to have a great time all day. And
All right. Well, I don't know what a schedule is, but I hope you follow it. That sounds great. Um, but
you're going to decipher my Alabama.
yeah, I'm Southern. I'm not that Southern. So, it, all right. Well, it sounds like just they're athlete focused, which
Yeah,
I can definitely appreciate. I mean, I've gotten tired of going to games that don't focus on the athlete. Like
yeah, me too.
there's still a little bit of you touched on it earlier, and it can become a problem if somebody goes too much down that rabbit hole of wondering what they're paying for. You know, um,
Yep,
that can be negative, but it can also be positive because I really think that the athletic director is providing a service to the athlete. I mean, yeah, our number one thing is the venue and whatever they've got us there doing. But if you paid me a registration fee, you should have good implements. You should have a good schedule that you know what to come in and expect so that you can throw your best and all that. Like to me, I think that should be number one or two on the priority list. All that other stuff can be further down, but
yeah.
I'd agree. So,
Yeah,
all right,
I
man.
don't
Well,
like surprises on game days. I don't like surprises on game days. And if I've been treated a certain way, I'm making sure I don't treat people that way if I don't like it. It's like we're implementing the rotation, the drop
mhm,
rotation on every class coming up
yeah,
this year. I haven't been doing it. I haven't thought about anything. And then I've done a couple games last year where I was the first thrower all day, and
yeah.
I didn't like it. So I'm not going to do it to anybody else.
Yeah,
Um,
it's. I saw somebody ask a question about that, and somebody's response, I think between you and I think it was maybe Justin Bladnick, hit the nail on the head. Where it's just, you know, it, I could certainly game the crap out of the system if somebody who I know is kind of as good as me is throwing first all day, and I'm throwing third, and I know they're the only one I have to beat. I can plan my day a heck of a lot easier than they can.
yep,
It really does throw a wrench in the system. So, but
yep.
be a bit of a
And I'm going to be posting my new and updated rules that
mhm.
I've compiled. And you'll be able to go and read the rule sets that all of my games will be adhering by. All of my judges will be judging off one rule set, not their own. Um, Another thing that I think athletes like about me, I hold my judges accountable. My judges are going to judge the way I want the game run. They're not going to be going, pardon the pun, going rogue. And they will be, they will go by a set standard. And even my own children sometimes come out and judge for me, and they know in a heartbeat if they don't do what I ask them to, I will fire them.
Yeah, yeah. You guess who's not coming back next year and making a couple $100 in the hotel room?
Yeah, yeah. But luckily, I don't have a problem with my judges. They're all great. They show up, help me set up, help me break down. They're professional about everything, and we I've never had a problem out of my judges that
Nice,
are part of my crew.
awesome. Well, that's good to hear. Um, that's everything I had, man. Unless that stirs something up for you, this is kind of my intention was keep them just short little things. I got, I think, at least four more ADs I'm gonna have on. I'll compile all this into a part one or part two of, or maybe just one giant episode everyone can eat through. But that was it, man. I appreciate you coming on as usual.
No problem. And I'll expand a little bit on that pro question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, make sure make sure you build a right reputation in the games,
Mm-hmm.
and then make sure you're proficient in the events. I don't
Yeah.
want, like I said, you don't have to be a world breaker to be a pro,
Yeah.
but you need to be someone who, when someone in the crowd sees you out there going, "Oh, he really looks like he knows," or she knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
100.
if I can beat you, ah, it's gonna be hard for me to put you on the field as a pro. So there
Right.
needs to be some type of standard there where you can show up and win almost any A class that you go to before you start thinking, I think I need to go pro.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wrestled with that same thing trying to put together a pro class last year for one of our games that I really wanted one at because I was stuck in between a rock and a hard place of I'm working on a very limited budget for a first year game, but I really think a pro class and something like that is important. So it was a very back and forth of trying to figure out who to invite and who to say yes to and no to, and it. But I think if we're going to call them pros, you should throw like a pro.
Hey, simple solution, and I've done it a few times when I've had a pro-am. Hey, you think you want to go pro? Show up. I've got 4 pros going to be here. Show up to class with them. Am I going to pay you? No. But you wasn't going to get paid anyway. I'm not
Yep.
going to charge you to come and do that. You can actually come and throw for free. And against those 4 pros, if you do well, you just got your foot in the door, mister.
Been a growing pain. I hope everyone knows, aside from the AD episode of how this works, trying to get games, the amount of pain in my butt it's been to try and run all this new recording software and microphones and all driving me up
Oh,
a wall,
tech
but we'll
guy.
get there. All right, so you were just about to tell everyone off about their classes and not filling rosters.
Yeah. All right. If if you complain about not having a class, a group, a flight, or whatever particular game, when the ADs provide that, you better register. You better show up, or your argument loses all validity.
Yep,
Every class on the board is available at all of my games. All I've got to do is have enough interest. If I've got enough interest, if I've got 4 or 5 people that want to register, I'll separate you.
yep,
But if I go a few games and I don't have people in that group register, I'm going to start eliminating that class because I've got to move on and I've got to fill that spot, fill that space with somebody else. And if you're just not going to travel and you're not going to support the game, don't complain when it gets taken away.
yep. I'd agree 110%. It goes for pros not quite as much, but it's
Now, pros are excluded on most of that because most of their stuff is in invite only, and if now when you get to running, yeah, there has to be a little give and a little bit of take, and I've been lucky with a great group of pros that have showed up for me when I couldn't pay them a lot, and it's I've been lucky in that way. When I did my open rebellion in Mississippi, I didn't have as many pros as I wanted to show up, but I can see where they were probably skeptical it's going to work, but hey, they missed out on a lot of money. Um, that's on them. And the pros that did show up and the top A's and amateurs that did show up in the future, the nod's going to go to them if I'm stuck between this person and that person. So,
yeah.
take it for what it is. I don't care if you're the best in the world. You can be the best in the world. If you don't support me, I'm not going to throw you a bone.
No, no, I agree. Well, that's a great note to go out on. Everyone, go sign up for games. Quit bitching.
Sign up and support your local athletic director. They're trying.
Yeah, 100%.
If
So,
they're not trying, let me know. I'll come in and I'll talk to the people that run the games. It's all business at that point.
and you know what? That was a whole nother rant that, again, I'm not going to really get into really far. But you know what? If they're not trying, then don't go to their game. Go to someone
That's
else's.
right.
The games are coming back. Take that time
That's
to
right.
travel to an AD's game who actually is going to prioritize you. You know?
Travel.
Yeah, so be it.
You don't know what you're missing until you see what somebody else does, and that's why I try to get around to see where a lot of different people because every time I go to someone else's game, I learn something new. I'm like, oh, I kind of like that, and I go to some games I don't like that,
Yep.
and I know what not to do. So you're
There you
always
go.
going to learn something.
100%. So, all right, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Talk to you next time.
There you go.
Bye.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that brief chat with Danny. Right before we get into the episode with Josh, I just wanted to do a quick reminder. Go check out heavyathlete.com, make a profile if you haven't already. We will also be running the Woodridge Farm Highland Games second year as well as the inaugural year of the Blue Ridge Championship off of Heavy Athlete. So if you haven't checked any of those out, please do so. You can also keep up with all things Blue Ridge Championship and Woodridge Farm related by following us on Instagram or going to our website. Thank you. My hope was to break down kind of that barrier of things that athletes may not grasp that ADs do, and vice versa, just to kind of increase the transparency there, clear up some things, answer questions, and really, I think just make it beneficial for everyone, and in the long run.
Yeah.
I don't think more information being out there hurts anything.
No, I agree fully. Yeah.
So that was my hope. I've got a list of questions that I came up with, and then a couple that people submitted. So if you don't have anything you want to start off with, we can just jump straight into them, because I'm trying to keep them a little more compact, because we're going to have 5 or 6 people on this by the end of it. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Sweet. So background wise, my first question to everyone is just, what's the first game you ran? Like, what year was it and where was it?
Yeah, first game was the first No Fame Games Backyarder 2021 March. And it was in like the athletic field of the Chelmsford High School in Massachusetts. And that's how it started.
And then how does that, let's see, fast forward from 2021 till 2024, what was the most recent game that you've run?
The most recent game that I wouldn't say that I run, but I would say I took a bulk of logistics was the Rogue Invitational.
Yep, over in Scotland. So a pretty good little ways away from your first game.
Yeah.
And then how would you say, because you're kind of in the same boat as Danny, where everything started up kind of either during COVID or post-COVID, when things were extra weird. So initially my next question was, hey, how have things changed between your first game and your second game? Or, sorry, in your last game?
Oh.
Which I don't really think is comparing a post-COVID game to a Rogue Invitational is weird, but just in general, how do you think the games at No Fame have changed over the span of the last 4 years?
Oof, man, there are so many ways to answer that question. I think, though, from athletic or an AD standpoint, I should say, the level of logistics are just like gargantuanly more than the backyarder. And then from an athletic point of view, we hope obviously that we can give a better show to the athletes. You were there for home games this year, and compared to like the backyarder that we started with, it was just really like the backyarder was just so tight knit, close. Everyone was just there to like party and hang out, and it was very low key. Obviously, there were no pros. Yeah. So, I mean, the question of how was the first home games compared to the Rogue Invitational, from an athletic director standpoint, the level of logistics and the amount of logistics, like for the Rogue Invitational or even home games this year in Milford, is just gargantuanly more compared to our first like backyarder, where it was no pros. It was just really close, tight knit people coming together, hanging out. I brought a grill. We made the nickname for that games was the Mango Chutney Games. I made Jamaican chicken sandwiches with the mango chutney salsa, and I coming from a chef background, where I work with elite people, very wealthy people, and it's my job to cater and create an experience for these people on a very high level. That it's my mind though goes to how do I be of service best to my guests and the people that come to me. So I approach it from a hospitality standpoint, as well as somewhat of an athlete standpoint myself, where I love to throw. I'm very mediocre, but I love it, and I having thrown too, there's that connection to what is the athlete experience, and that's really what the focus of the games that I've been involved with are, very athlete focused, and providing a really fun, badass experience for them. the Rogue was just like the level of logistics with liability, with equipment, with athlete organization, registration, all it's just not that it's more and I'm better, but it's that it's just on such a bigger platform. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but within that, what I fear, and I don't want to have get lost, is the athlete enjoyment and the camaraderie, because that's really, at least for no fame games, and I think every games we really care about each other and the camaraderie, right, in our experience. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it's really like it's kind of night and day, to be really honest. It's a night and day experience, for better or worse. But here we are.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely answers it. And you kind of answered my follow-up question too, which was what things have stayed the same, and for you, if that's the athlete camaraderie and that enjoyment and that part of the culture, despite other things growing, changing, falling off, becoming new, whatever
Yeah,
happens, then hey, you actually got ahead of me. So good job.
nice. Yeah, I mean, obviously, people know no fame games for different reasons, or they may not know me, which was on purpose for a long time. Like I didn't want, and I still don't want NFG to have like me as a face. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the athlete as the face, and but at the same time, as an athletic director, and you know this, the level of liability and risk that we take on when we become athletic directors. Now, if you're with a festival, the liability is with the festival, right? But if you're,
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, or if not, then it should be. But with like home games or backyarders, like we are responsible, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother level that as an athlete I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand the sleepless nights or the promotion or the marketing or the what it takes for sponsorships to get money, to do cold calls, to do all of that stuff. And I'm it's not a lucrative thing. It's something
No.
that at least that's why NFG is an LLC, is because it's the liability.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that yes, the camaraderie is really important. And there's esoteric reasons that I do it, and then there's exoteric reasons that I do it. And those esoteric reasons are, I believe in good karma. I believe in doing actions with intentions to create a better, a better world around me. And those are the more kind of deeper esoteric, reasons.
Yeah.
And then there's the very superficial, or more superficial of let's party and have a good time, and we'll just create some good memories. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That I got a kick out of that because when I was talking with Danny before, I asked him the same question. He just said, I like it and I enjoy doing it. And I said, that's great. I said, you got anything else? He's like, no, that's it. And I was like, this is fantastic because I know I'm going to ask Josh that same question and there's going to be some higher meaning to it. And I was like, I love having both of y'all on the same episode now
yeah,
because we've had multiple conversations where everything's been separated, and I just really enjoy that. No, I like it, and then the esoteric and the karma and
yeah,
that's
yeah, man.
fantastic. I
Like I
love the
love.
mix of people we've got.
I know I love Danny. I love Big Country. I
Yeah,
think, and everyone's different. Yeah, you like it. And I guess just after living in Thailand in forests and meeting people who you read about in fairy tales, my worldview is just very different. It's very
yeah,
different, and looking at life and the world, and also the bigger picture of the universe, and then also myself and lineage and bloodlines, and my son, and what do you pass on, and all of those things. That's I grew up in a very philosophical family, so those things just kind of seep
yeah,
into. Even with our logos are rather esoteric as well.
yeah.
On
No,
the
I just thoroughly enjoy the different mix of people that we've been able to kind of put into the same little weird sport.
totally,
I
man.
love it.
Oh, totally. No,
So
it's totally.
it would be
Yeah.
really boring if every game and everything was just run exactly the same.
Yeah.
We'd be powerlifting and everything would suck. So
Well, I guess going back to like restaurants, everyone likes a restaurant for a different reason. Everyone goes to
Mm-hmm.
different restaurants for different cuisines, and Danny, he runs his restaurant like Danny, and I run my restaurant, like me, and like Pleasanton that like Pleasanton, and well, wherever, Alaska like Alaska. So, people,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I love the diversity.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think? And again, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, just because we all are very different people. What do you think? If someone goes to a bunch of other games and then they go to some no fan games, what are you guys doing differently in your view, relative to some of the things? Probably a little closer to you in proximity, I think, is the fairest comparison. But just in general, what
Hmm.
what is different at your place than it would be somewhere else?
Yeah, well, I what I'll do different. I don't necessarily think it's better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely the Team Highlander. That's something that is pretty unique to no fame games, particularly the home games.
Yeah.
Um, we and again that's almost a separate competition that we run. It is actually a separate competition that we
Mm-hmm.
run
Yeah.
aside from the heavy events. I think what's a little bit different is one, we don't run the traditional order with every class. As you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like some maybe the pro classes or some of those classes will run, well, like masters elite classes will run a traditional order, but other than that, it's just because of space and all that, we mix it up. I think obviously what NFG is known for is the media, and so we have professional videographers and photographers and all of them running around. We have camera crews sometimes from channels from different news or whatever channels around, and again it's not like a flex. It's more just that's what the hope is, to make use home games and other games like the Fort or Maine, to help promote the sport in a larger way.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
mentality, again, the vision around that is a year round, using that footage year round to help promote the sport and help promote the athletes. Um, and so maybe I would say something that's different. And again, different from home games, which is completely athletic focused, even though we have clan tents and we have some piping, and hopefully we're going to have dancing next year too. Is that it's just very like athlete originated and focused,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the festival at 4-4 and the main Highland Games they're full on festivals with bands and and more piping and more dancing and then athletics and all that, and kind of more the vendor village too kind of idea. Um, but yeah, I guess.
Awesome. What do you think, if anything, and this is broad strokes, not about NFG, but with athletic directing in general, which is hard to put into a box because it is so different everywhere you go.
Hmm.
What needs to change? Like, is there anything that you see going on, broad strokes, not naming names or pointing fingers, but is there like a trend anywhere that you're seeing that seems bad or needs to shift?
I this could potentially get me in trouble, which I don't want.
Oh, we would never do that on this podcast. That would never happen.
Oh, damn
I
you,
make
Jeremy!
friends everywhere
Damn
I
you,
go.
Jeremy!
Yeah.
No, I someone and again as a chef myself, a chef gave me advice one time. He runs some big time restaurants, and I asked him, about other restaurants and what they're doing locally around him, and or even just nationally. And he's like, I don't really give a shit about them. I give a shit about what I'm doing and trying to be, as good as I can in my restaurant. I know what I want to do
Mm-hmm.
and how to. I just want to push that 1% to be better with what my vision
Okay.
is. And I think that there's an element that I try to do with that in NFG. And the biggest thing I think that causes so much dissonance and chaos and pleasure and uniqueness, swings both ways, is there's no governing body. And
Yeah.
because of no governing body, there's no like necessarily rule book. Yeah, we have rule books, but or NASGA, or now what's happening with Heavy Athlete, which is huge.
Yeah, I was
Congrats.
going to say, you don't need to talk about NASCAR anymore.
Yeah, but this is like an amazing transitional period, is that we're
Yeah.
going to the era of Heavy Athlete, and and this is a real opportunity on many levels to revisit, like, what is it that, how we organize the heavy athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And for athletic directing, I am now a huge fan of the open format. And after what's
Yeah.
going on with the Celtic, which I'm sure you and Matt and Mike are going to talk about, with the updates, like it's even more push to have open format. And
Mm-hmm.
that, for me, it removes the invites. It removes, that you need an invite in order to come for, like, the pro. I think the honestly, as an AD, the biggest fucking headaches are with the pro classes. Like, they
Okay.
cause the most trouble. They cause the most stress and headaches. They cause the most liability. They cause the most drama. And um, and there are ADs on big places who are just like, geez, guys, like, you're really full of yourselves, and we're just throwing rocks and sticks in this in the field,
Mm-hmm.
And at the
Yeah.
same time, though, from a point of athletic excellence, I understand why, there are these dynamics and why there are these pushes, and that's not to skimp out on, like, not paying them. Believe me, I would, if I was a multimillionaire or whatever, or had like super sponsors, angel sponsors, I would happily have the pros be, the payouts be massive, bigger than Pleasanton or Worlds or whatever. The issue, like, every AD is so, and every games is so unique to that games and that AD. We're dependent
Mm-hmm.
on sponsorships, and now with Sports Illustrated ticket sales, that's where we make the money, and so I
Yeah.
think that the payouts and all of that is, I really like the open format, and I think that it really levels out the playing field with prizes first through third place and no overalls. That's how I think
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it for 2025, see how it goes, and hopefully some more big announcements early next year about that. But regardless, um, I think that that's definitely something, the pro classes and athletic directors now, again, heavy athlete is going to fix a lot of those, any issues, I think, with
Mm-hmm.
um, a lack of centralization, or a lack of, finding scores, and even friendly competition between athletes, of kind of picking at each other. They can use the database of heavy athlete for a multitude of purposes, and
And hashtag and throw each other in a practice group and sit there and have each other's scores lumped together all season if they want to.
yeah, that's awesome, and
Yeah.
I think, I have my vision. My wife and I
Mm-hmm.
and our team, we have our vision of what we want NFG to be, and particularly home games. Home games is going to be a big focus. Obviously, we have the men's worlds scheduled for Maine 2025 that I'll be, kind of back up to Bill and Steve, as well as not just the worlds, but the regular athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really, I'll be definitely leaning on heavy athlete for a lot of that stuff. And
Awesome.
yeah, man.
Somebody, and this touches on what you've already said, if you had to give a little snippet of advice to new pros who are trying to get at invites and
Oh,
things like that,
yeah.
what as an athletic director who hosts pro classes, what do you tell that person who just went pro?
Yeah, I would say, I wish you all the very best. And from what I've seen now, from helping out with Rogue and
Mm-hmm.
that caliber, and then, obviously being in touch and friendly with Steve Conway and Bill Crawford, and obviously Jenny McDaniel in Alaska, and Danny Webster and Sean Smith. And, like, so talking to a lot of athletic directors, because personally, I'm always trying to improve too, imperfectly as that is. But the first thing I would say is, if you get an invite to a pro class, like, tell the world about that games,
Yeah.
highlight that games, make posts about that games, increase ticket sales. in any way, shape, and form that you can, whether it's, getting their logos, or it's, talking to the sponsors, making yourself really readily available to, and proactive to really try and support the AD and make it as useful as possible, whether it's with travel logistics, whether it's with accommodation logistics, whether it's with game day logistics. Help out. Don't be a stuck up pro. Um, don't be arrogant and not willing to put in the share of help. And I will
Mm-hmm.
say, as an example, when we first had, and was it 2022, when Spencer Tyler came out on his own dime,
Mm-hmm.
for home games, um, after he was finished, he went and started shagging weights for the ladies class.
Yeah.
And, it's stuff like that. And the amount of comments that happened because of that, because of just those pros who are legends, you know, giving back and being a good example, that is something that I think is very important for a pro to think about, is what example, of course, that have your brand. That's something Matt Vincent was really good at. That's something, obviously, athletes like Ponzio, or or Spencer, or John Van Buren, or Vlad, like they're or who, everybody, they all have their own thing. Hannah Lindsay is a perfect example for a woman of, like,
Mm-hmm.
she has her brand, she has who she is, she can post, it gets attention, like, you have
Yep.
a following. That's something, I know it's superficial in so many ways, but in some ways, but in other ways, for a place like Rogue, if that's what you care about, is Worlds and Rogue, and like Arnold's, or maybe the Shaw Classic coming up, there's rumors of that. It's like, how do you be an incredible show person? How do you engage the crowd? How do you get the crowd going? Obviously, the big events are like caber toss, weight over bar, sheaf toss, those events that the crowd can be super engaged with and really easily understand. Big yells, big support. If you have beef with someone, it's fun beef, but you make it fun. You make it like, like a McKim kind of Matt Vincent type of thing, like that. That's, so I would say that that's definitely something vitally important for, in my view, not that because of it being necessary for home games, like, screw home games to an extent. As a pro, it's going to be open format anyway, so you don't have to worry about invites. You can just register and show up. But that being said, for those games that do require invites, it's networking. It's getting to know the AD. It's getting on their good side. It's being a great showman or showwoman, as I've said. It's having a presence. It's politeness, etiquette, timeliness, and communication. If they ask you for something, being there to answer questions, being willing to do promotional stuff, marketing stuff, getting pictures of yourself, whether throwing or not, professional pictures done. It's the whole kind of gambit of what it would mean in a other sport, like, NFL, NHL, baseball, whatever. Like, what, looking at that as an example, and then taking that and seeing what fits in the Highland Games or what doesn't. Like, you don't need an agent. You need to be a good person, I think,
Yeah.
and just work hard and be a damn good thrower, and always keep pushing yourself. And really, that's a long-winded answer, but it's something I actually was just talking about with a few athletes. So that's a good question.
No, 100%. And like, to toot the horn of some of those guys, like, when I was trying to organize our spring game, which, ended up falling through, but through none of these guys' fault. When I reached out to like Spencer and John and Kyle, and I mean, the top of the sport, all of them were willing to help out and work for what is really chicken scratch
Yeah,
to help get the game off the ground, to
yeah,
try and start that stuff up. So I think it says a lot when the top guys in the sport, and a lot of the women too. I could name a solid handful of athletes. I'm just using the example I think most people would know.
yeah, totally.
Like, a lot of them were willing to come out and work for pretty cheap, and they were checking their own flight prices and doing all that stuff
Yeah,
just because I explained, hey, we're trying to get a first year game going, but I want to have a pro class. I want to be able to do that, and they were willing to work with it, and it stuff like that means a lot. So
Oh man, it meant. I mean, shoot, it meant the world when like Spencer came out in 2022, and
yeah,
But again, like you said, John too. John, I know he has a really busy schedule now, and obviously what he said about next year. But he helped even from afar. Like we needed a boom lift, and he works for a heavy equipment company, and he was on the phone trying to find a boom lift for us to get out to home games. And I
yeah,
think that was 2023. And Kyle too. I mean, he's an amazing thrower, and he's done a lot of pro bono games, and I think that's awesome. I think that it's examples like that are really important, and but at the same time though, it's really important to as an AD to compensate the athletes. But as
yeah,
a new pro, it's important to know that you may have to do some legwork like that, or show up to some games
yep,
where you may not get, a cut. I'm not saying that for like home games, but it depends on the games, right? Like games only have so much of a budget. So if you can
yeah.
mitigate the limiting factor, which is the budget and support, you know,
hmm
and then that's
It
how
goes a long way.
it goes a long way. At the same time, though, like I don't want to get ads in trouble who like don't pay their pro athletes or don't like
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like they don't meet these superficial idiotic requirements of whatever 1500, like the limiting factors.
yep,
But that's why now into this era of heavy athlete, we're looking at a different pro class than
yep,
it would be for like in the past. So
yeah,
nevertheless though, any ad is going to look for their cordialness, amicability, their character, their throws, obviously, their personality, their presence online, willingness to do the work and to just be a good person and show up and throw and have fun and not give the AD a headache. Like don't give your AD a headache. You know?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Um, there's another one that I don't think is a you issue, but someone asked, "Why do you take so long to put scores in?" I
Hmm.
think most of yours are usually in relatively fast, and I think again, not to keep tooting heavy athlete, we're trying to make that process easier and easier for ads as they go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but if you had to guess, why are some athletes or some ads taking so long to put in scores?
I mean,
Danny had a very pointed answer,
yeah.
but I'll let you, you know,
I mean, look, one of the easiest answer is we don't fucking get paid for this. So,
yeah,
like when for other ADs who are parents, full time jobs, all that stuff, honestly, putting your scores in NASGA as it was, or now, heavy athlete is really not like my major priority. However, as an AD, though, being a professional, trying to be professional with it, obviously NASGA had major setbacks. Like every 15 minutes, it would, like shut down or all your work would.
yeah,
That was so. When I had to do NASGA, I had to think like I need to have like an hour of time blocked out or whatever, especially with home games that had like over 100 athletes. It's like, it's every AD and games is different, but I will say that heavy athlete has really been a breath of fresh air with putting scores in, and the new athlete. I think this problem will be solved with when there's all of the athletes are getting populated into heavy athlete from NASCAR, or whatever are the new athletes. That
yeah,
it'll be easier to pull them up and kind of have it'll be quicker. Um, but I also wonder too if part of that problem is like how they keep their scores or how they keep their score sheets and what do they have an overall thing that they're using, is that overall correct, do they have to keep going back to the individual sheets of the individual events. Like I wonder, my mind kind of goes there of I wonder about their organization and in
yeah.
managing before they go to the computer and put the scores in, aside
My,
from the timeline.
yeah, my cynical worldview goes back to what you said, and I think frequently it ends up being a professionalism thing, and I think once you have everyone using a system that's just by and by easier to do it with, if you're going to a game where that AD is still taking 2 months to put in your scores,
Yeah.
I think you found the AD that isn't prioritizing you. You know,
Yeah.
because I mean, even at the amateur level, some people want their scores in, or lightweights, or masters, or whatever, because
Totally.
they're trying to get numbers in before invites go out for lightweight worlds, master worlds,
Yeah.
championship games,
Totally.
all of that stuff. And I think it'll make it a lot easier to sort out which ADs want to be professional and give a better service to the people that are paying them registration fees. Which again, don't go as far as we all think they should. I get it. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this person handed you money, and I think part of the implied agreement is scores for throws, you know?
Yeah, I
So.
I agree with that. You know what I wonder? I just had an idea. What about have like a Google review for ADs and games on heavy athlete, or it's like, their median time of putting scores in. I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
that could be something that could be kind of fun. You have a little review system
So
for.
I'm sure I could run a report that looks
Yeah,
at the game date versus the score entry date. You know, I'm
yeah.
sure there's a way for him to look at that. He knows how to do all that behind the scenes stuff. Um,
Oops, sorry to interrupt you. Wondering if like eventually that also just goes back into organization of the AD and games and having like a tablet on field that has a Wi-Fi hookup that you're automatically
yeah.
putting in,
Well,
those
the
scores
original
on the field.
that way things could just be done live from their cell phone on the field, and then when you get back home the next day, you can just look over, make sure no one missed any blocks, make sure everything reads correctly, and then bam. So
That sounds
hopefully
awesome,
that'll
man.
happen. I don't know.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So I'm gonna try and wrap this up since apparently my Wi-Fi is back to being a pain in the butt.
No worries.
Let's see. Yeah, the last one was just why do you do it? You know, like what? None of us are making money. Uh, you mentioned wanting to put good karma out there and all the esoteric reasons, but why? What keeps you coming back to it? I mean, you've already done that once, right? So why? You know?
Yeah. Um. Wow. You know that I'm long-winded, so how do I kind of
Yeah.
put all
I
this
mean,
in?
that's why this is for the end. This is
Yeah.
your way of putting a bow on everything. Is
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started doing it because there was a need to do it, not necessarily because I wanted to do it. There was a need after COVID and with what was happening in New England and with the festivals, and that need kind of superseded. People just weren't stepping up, and I'm a firm believer that if not you, who? If not now, when?
mm-hmm.
And that not that you need to be the perfect person to step into it and just do it. You just need to do it. And I I think I do it. Obviously, as you said before, yeah, it's esoteric reasons. It's just like the pay it forward too idea
Mm-hmm.
that I like to try to be a bridge builder. So being a person that builds a bridge that for people behind me can hopefully use and continue on and help make this thing that we have all the more better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely a part of it. The other part obviously is, as a parent, I want to set a good example for my son. I want to
Yeah.
be, I want him to be able to look at things that him and his mom are doing, and to say what is the result of a determined mind that is geared toward a goal and doesn't give up when there's challenges, doesn't give up when people talk smack about you, doesn't give up when people try to push you down, or even when people try to push you up, that you have that stability of mind that you to reach towards your goal, to keep going towards your goal. And that definitely drives me. And also too, it sounds silly, but the camaraderie, the
Mm-hmm.
experiences, going back to being a chef and needing to create experiences for people that I like to go through this work or go through this struggle or go through this process and then see people smile and memories be created, or on the field, off the field, like you meeting Ponzio in a hotel room doing the podcast. Like
Yeah.
that happened because of all of the back work that Jen and I did and all of that, not just to give ourselves props, but like same for your games, that every experience and memory that happens on your field as an AD is you're a part of that vibe, that goodness. You're part of that experience. You carry that with you.
Yeah.
And that's, you say karma is action with intention. This doesn't mean, it's not like a woo-woo thing. It literally means action with intention. So what intentions, what actions are we creating as athletic directors that to have people have experience? What experience do we want them to have? And how does that fit into our community as a whole? How does that fit into, us individually? Like the Holiday Highlander is a great example. They have what they create is an amazing thing, and it has an amazing tight-knit community to it. And I think that's very worthy of praise, and the people, I don't know all the athletic directors, so I don't mean to be biased or sound biased, but the people that I do know, like Jenny McDaniel, who works year round to create those experiences in Alaska, that to be able to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and know that you're a part of those experiences, you're a part of that inspiration you give someone, whether they're on the sidelines looking or whether they make a decision that they want to become an athlete, or they become an athlete, or they become a pro at your games, or they're a new pro and you're helping them find their way, or or you're just like there to party and have fun and like meet people. And the spectrum of this is so wide as an athletic director that you can just choose, or be like Danny, I like it, fuck it, I like it, like that's cool, like that's awesome. And or if you want to really look in the mirror and go deep about why you do anything, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So just do it. And that's why I do it, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I mean, that's perfect. We're at 40 minutes almost, just on the button. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, brother.
Anything else? I don't want to feel like I'm just kicking you off, but I think we've accomplished what I set out to accomplish.
Yeah, man. I like your shirt. That's an old school shirt right there.
It is the old refined savage. I wish Mark Valeni was still making them, man. They were some of my favorite shirts when I first got into the games, and they're starting to get holes in them and wear out. So
yeah, my wife still wears one of his zip ups with like the brass knuckles and the rum.
Oh my god, that was my favorite hoodie, and I lost it in a move somewhere, and I've never gotten over it. It was so comfortable.
Yeah,
and 8 pullover hoodies. It was my favorite hoodie ever, and I'm so sad it's gone.
I know you should get Mark on here, man. You should have to talk to him. Shit.
I need to. I need him to stop doing jujitsu and whatever else he's doing all the time, and actually get him on here. I think it'd be a blast. He did my weights programming and everything when I first came on, and decided I'm going to actually make a push at the Highland Games. So I really enjoy it.
That's very cool.
He's a blast.
Yeah. So. Right on, but thank you for having me on, as always. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed those chats with Danny Webster and Josh Macintosh. We're getting to the final interview of the AD episode, part 1. It is me and my good buddy Aaron George. We did record this in the truck on the way back from deer hunting. So the trade-off here is I was able to cut out a ton of the white noise and road noise. But the volume's a little lower. So you may have turned up on this one. Apologies, guys. It's a quick one, and it's the end of our part 1 episode. Part 2 should be dropping before the end of the year if I get my stuff together. But there we go. See if my seatbelt really rubs on that while I'm driving you to your hotel. So this is going to be the finale to... Turn off my oh, that's nice. Now it's just you. We can, whoever's talking.
I feel so special. This is a really nice studio.
This is actually really nice because now they don't have to see my face. Right, yeah. And I think that's been one of the biggest complaints on the podcast.
Unless it's just picking up the gravel road right now.
Yeah, look, I bought the new mics. I turned off Bluetooth so it's not running off the truck mic or the phone mic. It should be picking these up. I've done everything I can for you people.
You're a wonderful producer.
Yeah. Please, someone sponsor us. But so you're the finale to part 1 of the AD episode, because I wanted to give people the perspective of what ADs kind of have to deal with and things that are behind the scene that either seasoned people get uppity and forget exist, or new people just flat out don't know exists.
Right.
So that we can all, come together in kumbaya and all that shit. So, I'm going to be going off of memory here, which is not my strong suit, because I've woken up at 5 a.m. for the past 3 days in a row to go not kill deer.
A similar schedule.
Are
we going to talk about that I'm on tilt?
If you want to talk about why you're drinking the whole time, we can.
I'll just get it out of the way real quick. We've been hunting.
Well, let's talk about Nick first, because Nick's at the same
your story
spot.
To tell. I don't want to.
So, Nick Ponzio sat the exact same spot yesterday and missed, I'm pretty sure, the same buck.
Maybe 30 yards.
He shot him he was standing around 80 because he didn't come out at the same spot.
Gotcha.
He walked out of the corn when Nick was there further down. So Nick missed him at 80, and then...
well, I didn't miss him.
No, you didn't. Because you got to shoot to miss.
I missed the opportunity. He came in from my left, sitting in a blind, and he was broadside for quite a bit. There was some trees in between myself and the deer. I could not acquire the deer through my scope. I don't know if the housing is messed up. There is fog, moisture, something in it, so I could see the reticle, but I could not silhouette the deer from at most 25, 30 yards away.
I'd say to save his life, but you did save his life.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I had plenty of time to, safety first. I put my cans on because I don't want to blow my eardrums out. I had my shooting stick ready, everything, and by the time he was out of the thick of it, I could not acquire the
these
target.
Are safety earbuds that also have Bluetooth microphones in them, so you can listen to stuff, but you also hear what's going on around you.
So as I'm TikToking for 8 hours straight, I can...
Yeah, you can scroll whatever website your little heart desires.
It's all educational.
Yeah, that's what the disclaimer says. So
I didn't take the shot.
Yeah,
that's
I
didn't feel like it was an ethical shot.
If I can figure out how to do it, I'll splice in that trail camera picture so that everyone can know that is the deer at daylight standing broadside 25 yards from the blind.
It was a great deer. And, it was the ball was in my hands at the last seconds to be the hero. None of us have gotten a deer this weekend. I'm getting ready to go visit with my wife's family in Virginia Beach, so I could have brought fresh kill. There's some cool stuff.
Maybe I'll hit one on the way to the hotel. You never know.
Great. We'll tell a different story.
Yeah, be like, look at this deer he killed. Don't look at my radiator.
Anyway, I'm a little on tilt. I was bummed not to do it. It's my opinion. It's still the right thing not to take a questionable shot, but still bummed I didn't take it home.
Yeah. So that wraps up Uncle's Deer Corner.
Deer Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. We're going to go sit at Denny's and reminisce for a while. But now, the AD episode. So I'm going to go off of memory. I'm sure I'll forget some of the things I've asked other ADs. But what is the first game you ever ran as an athletics director?
It's the first and only, and it's the only game that I will be an athletic director at. That's the Greenville Highland Games in Greenville, South Carolina. So it's kind of a nice, full circle to my Highland Games story or career, that it was the first games that I threw in many moons ago, and I was given the opportunity by John Allen. He had been the AD, I think, for 17 years, and he introduced me to the board. So Greenville is a very well-run games. It has its own.
Well, it was up until
2 years ago.
Yeah.
It went to doo-doo, but they have their own board who meets monthly. They have a pretty substantial budget that they work with and allocate. So, and it's on Furman University. That campus is it's gorgeous.
So you're throwing on a nice soccer pitch uphill. It's great.
And there's thousands of people that come to this event. So, but yes, that is to answer your question again. Greenville Highland Games at Furman University.
Have you only run it once, or have you run it twice?
Just once. Yeah.
Okay. Because my follow-up question on the script is, what was your most recent game you ran? So
also
cool.
Greenville. And I don't say it's it has nothing to do with my relationship with the sport, or it more has to do with time.
Yeah.
I don't between being a dad, being a husband, working, and being out of state, I don't have time to invest at these games.
Tough running your only game from how many hours away?
It's honestly, it's about 90 minutes, 2 hours, depending.
Okay.
But again, a lot of these games, you know, if there's some more local opportunities, maybe. But you know, really being an athletic
you could be
director,
the guy that revitalizes the Asheville Highland Games.
It could be. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's a tough venue.
Yeah, and a tough time of year.
It's like it's a stockyard, and they have some really cool. And it's a well-run festival. They have, again, thousands of people, but there's not. And the fact that it's in February, there's not a ton of places that you can put on a good athletic competition.
Yeah. Let me think. So then I usually ask people how their games have changed over all the many years of athletic directing.
I
yours
can't.
haven't.
I was gonna say I can't give it from the perspective of.
No, but hey, look, it's here. Go get it.
Yeah. Damn it.
So. I've left that same farm turkey hunting and seen turkeys in that exact same field.
That's how it works. But again, not through. Like, I've obviously seen it evolve as an athlete. I threw in it, I think, 5 different times, and I had seen John. John always did a great job, and John, you know, something that I tried to emulate when I took it over is he really.
Went and started a lube company? Or is that the other guy?
No, that's Ted.
Okay, we'll get
Ted Leger, Helmet Grease, this episode's sponsor. But
Helmet Grease, if you want to sponsor sponsor all my episodes, I would love that.
Be wonderful.
If you could be my first pay sponsor, is a lube company. It's so fitting, literally. Anyway,
so John really did a good job at bringing in people who've been in and around the Highland Games doing it for a long time. You know, whether it's MCs or people to help run day of. I know his wife worked a lot to do the admin and certain logistics of it. So I follow that same model. You know, Scott Medlin, he was my savior. You know, but as was Buck day of. Danny Webster really helped out, and you know, it was a lot. Registration was a lot. I think we closed in on 90 athletes registered, which is good. But so that's. Really, there's not a ton of evolution. And when I had the conversation with the board, that's what I opened up with. I said, listen, John has done a phenomenal job for almost 2 decades. I'm not looking to change anything. I'm just looking not to fuck it up. You know, year 1 and 2, there's a couple things I'd like to do.
I mean, you should definitely change it and start putting in scores on heavyathlete.com. But other than that, you know.
I'm going to keep it to tree bark. Stored in a farm somewhere.
Yeah, it's in a basement at Furman University. They just write on a scroll and tuck it in a book. Nick Cage will find it. Oh, all right, good. So you've seen the game grow and evolve. Is there anything that the Greenville Highland Games does differently than other games? Like, is there anything that sets it apart?
A venue, first and foremost, is always what I'm going to go to because it is nice. The athletic tent is always nice. We always have...
if you want to throw hammers on a soggy ball field. No,
well, so we actually... I take
it was back. Nice throwing hammers somewhere where I didn't think I would kill someone.
That is something that I did change when I took it over.
Oh.
The couple of years prior to me taking over, they were throwing over in an area that really had a lot of festival goer traffic. Yeah. They were all over, and
risk.
It was very high risk, and I didn't feel safe. So that was one thing that I did change. I moved it actually back to the Olympic hammer cages. It's a little bit of a hike for the athletes. I get it, but you know, it's much better than caving someone's head in with an implement. But
yeah, I'm looking to do that at our Woodridge games to actually see if we can move hammer somewhere so everyone can throw it without having to worry.
It tightens you up.
Yeah.
You know, it's just dangerous. We've all had stories where we've let one go too early or too late, and it's terrifying.
I just let them go too short.
too short. I think we've all done that. But you know, again, outside of venue with what kind of sets Greenville apart, registration is relatively easy. It's all done online. We are looking this year to remove any of the paper tickets, so no wristbands, no paper tickets. It'll all be digital. You just have your phone, you come in, you check in. That should kind of clean up some of the stuff as well. But I mean, you get fed, it's a free meal. You know, and
you get a cool T-shirt that you're currently wearing.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. I mean, I didn't mean to do that.
I was wearing last night. Not that exact T-shirt, but a different T-shirt.
I'm just a poor person that I have a box of free T-shirts. I'm going to keep wearing them.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, and again, it's in May, so it's going to be hot in South Carolina. There's no real getting around that. But I mean, it is a lively event, and you get to throw in front of a lot of people. I mean, there's a flyover. We generally
there was a really good crowd when we got to height events.
Oh my God, it's awesome, and there's representatives from the royal family that come.
I didn't see that.
Again, this none of this has anything to do with me.
Yeah.
But the board for years and years now has really done a good job making that a flagship games in the Southeast.
Well, good. So we had someone submit a question of, do you guys have a pro class when you do Greenville?
We don't. There's never been a pro class.
Okay. I think you're still qualified to answer this question because I think you threw pro at one time, did you? No.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can check out some shitty website. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's like fatthrower.com or something. You should have seen all the different name suggestions I had come up with, and we were like, what to name the website. I think I still have the note on my phone. I should post that at some point.
Just how obscure they may have started.
Yeah, we're about to get rear-ended by a 90s era Chevy. So everyone, oh no, it's a Ford. My bad.
We'll be all right.
Sorry, Chevy. But what was I talking about before we almost?
Well, you're getting ready to ask me a question
about pros related. Yes. Yeah. So we did have someone submit a question asking what advice they had for new pros as far as getting invites and all that stuff. So it was directed at ADs.
Right.
You've gotten invited to at least 6 games. So
a few more than that, but yeah.
Right, 7.
I mean, from an athletic director's mindset. So say I did have a pro class in my games.
Why don't you?
Well, honestly, we've just never had one, and I didn't want to make that change year one. So it's something that we do want to have here in the future. But say a younger pro wanted to throw at the Greenville Games, if and when they get a pro class, the best thing I can tell you is have a pre-established relationship with that athletic director. And beyond that, like I mentioned earlier, I help do a lot of the admin stuff and the preparation and meetings leading up to the games. But Scott is the day of guy. He runs the games day of, so you have to build a relationship with that person as well.
Which is tough because I've been throwing for over 6 years now, and every time Scott sees me, it's like he's met me for the first time. And I have trouble differentiating what's just Scott's personality versus is he not remembering me.
Maybe you're just a vanilla white dude with a mustache. Maybe?
Well, so I didn't always have the mustache. I'm hoping that helps me stand out.
That sets you apart.
Prior to that, I looked like every cop you've ever seen, and now I look like every other cop you've ever seen.
It's a competitive edge.
But yeah.
So as from an athletic
fucker with the mustache.
From an athletic director's perspective, you need to build that relationship. You need to have suitable numbers to start the conversation. But beyond that, you need to have relationships.
Yeah.
What helped me get invites throughout my career is not having an ego.
It wasn't your numbers.
No, they weren't picking my numbers off of NASGA at the time. They'd be like, "Yep, he's the one." I will say though, I have never finished last in any competition I've thrown in.
There you go. But he's got soft hands.
Listen, jobbers get paid too.
Yeah, man. A lot of games are flat pay. It doesn't matter.
That's right. Jobbers get paid.
Especially now, post-COVID. All right. So that was one. I'm trying to remember what the other question was. Ooh. This may or may not involve you. Who puts in scores for Greenville?
Thomasina actually did it this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one will just be speculation, and not specifically about Thomasina. I was just asking to potentially ask you directly.
Sure.
Someone said, why does it take you so long to put in scores? Why do you think it takes AD so long to put in scores, Aaron?
Well, I will put an asterisk to that. Greenville was entered
very quickly.
I want to say within a week.
So far, every AD I've talked to are ADs that put them in quickly because they're ADs I like.
Right.
I'm not inviting ADs I don't like to talk about this because,
right.
No.
Well, so one of the things that makes a game's maybe a little bit easier to get the scores in is when it's digitized. Mm-hmm. So all the scorekeeping, Diane actually enters the scorekeeping.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much easier to enter it on the back end instead of having to, a week, 2 weeks later, try and decipher what's on written paper that has beer, sweat all over it. Yeah. So taking care of that, the technology aspect of it the day of really, really helps.
You know what website worked a lot on that? Made it really easy. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, helmet grease.
Yeah. God, helmet grease makes everything real easy. You can really squeeze in some stuff.
Yeah, but I've been on the thrower side as well too, where you notice, all right, it's a week later.
I've had some games be like a month later, and it's just.
And I get it, but I would also argue as throwers, maybe calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my hot take of this. Now, granted, if it's necessary for an invite, it's lightweight, it's worlds, it's whatever it is, I understand that.
You've got a worlds or an invite game only that's going to be going by your numbers.
Right.
They're going to want to see that.
So I completely understand at that point when you want to get them entered in because it's going to help qualify you for
I think a B
games.
freaking out because their scores weren't in that week is...
A B, an A, honestly, a pro, it doesn't matter your class. And if we really kind of calm down, but again, I've been in these shoes as a thrower. I'm like, where are my scores? Where are my scores? And it had no bearing on anything other than I just wanted them up in the ether for people to see. At the end of the day, relax. They're going to get up there. If it is tied to an invite to a particular game, I go back to what I said about building a relationship. I have no idea.
Okay, you should look that up while we're talking. All right, yeah, no, I agree to. I think there's definitely
House.
High house.
Short rub. Where are we at?
We're at short bump. We're encroaching upon short bump. We're about to hit the line. So, I'm trying to think. We can kind of go off script here because why not? We're all sleep deprived, and none of this is real, and tens of people won't care.
Tens.
If the audio quality is better, they're going to thank me for whatever they did.
I think my previous episode was the least listened to. So.
No, that was actually Nick's most recent episode because we recorded it in the truck, but off of my truck microphone, it was horrendous.
Dropping it.
Oh, I could watch in Spotify where like people made it through like 66% of the episode, and they were like, "I can't do this."
Yes, it is.
So, and that was fair. So, hopefully the settings are right, and you guys are getting this. You're welcome. That was me giving every listener a forehead kiss.
It's cheap.
Yeah, well, just right there. You know who you are. So, all right, what are some behind-the-scenes things that you wish athletes knew more about? I mean, you've been in the game for a while. You know what people bitch about. You know what bitchings are justified versus unjustified.
True.
I mean, there are some complaints about ADs that are very real.
Yeah.
You know? So...
I think from like a top level, say you get frustrated with the athletic director, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever's going wrong, you kind of can ask your question like, all right, well, is this the byproduct of not preparing or being disorganized, or is this really just something got fucked up day of? And you really can kind of tell between some ADs who really put in effort and thought and everything else, mental energy leading up to the games, and some are just collecting a paycheck like anything else. But it's really kind of just understanding that things can go on day of during the game that, kind of put you behind schedule. Or, the worst thing you can do as an AD, how about this, is don't leave your wet sheath bags out in the 20-degree weather, so when you go to throw them the next day, they're frozen. Now, however, now that I'm on the AD side, I also get it. There's so many things that you're coordinating.
I know that things happen, but there's it's not an AD problem. There's an equipment guy who comes to a lot of games that I throw, who just repacks them in the same torn trash bags. And I'm like, trash bags aren't expensive. Just go get I'll bring you a 40 mil trash bag. If that's holding you up, I'll bring it to you, and then you can pack.
The next level.
Yeah, like it was a game where I was like, I'm a crack 30 today, and then we're all trying to find a bag that isn't sopping wet and falling apart because it rained the night before. Anyway.
But so in the same breath, I with the Greenville game, so I'm getting ready to start doing the caber shopping, so to speak, to make sure that we have,
which is tough. Honestly, cabers are the hardest thing to source.
They are.
I went to the farm we were just at one day going, I'm going to go pick some cabers. Once you really start looking, man, it gets hard to find trees.
They're not just, but beyond that.
Yeah, trees don't grow on trees, guys.
Harvesting them and then, peeling off the bark, trying to let them cure, doing all that stuff. It really is a lot of work. And going back to, you have some ADs that do 17 games a season. You have others like me that, I do one.
Yeah, so what's your excuse now?
Life. That's my excuse.
Damn it, Mary. Yeah. She listens to this, right? She's subscribed.
I'm sure she's hacked in live.
Oh, yeah. She's. Your wife put a bug on my phone. That's fair. I'm not a good influence. All right, that's the Hampton. We're going to the Hyatt. You may want to end up putting directions in for this.
Okay.
I think I know which one it is, but I could be very wrong. This is a pretty busy place. So, all right, sorry. So you were talking about like sourcing cavers and all of that stuff, and some things go wrong day of.
It does, but again, so a game like Greenville, there are hundreds of like pipe and drum competitors. There's a ton of vendors.
Now, do you have to worry about any of that because it is such a large festival and you're the AD? Must be nice.
So there's a director for pipe and drum who's awesome. You have someone who's handling vendors, so I don't have to handle all of that. So again, think about an athletic director that has to do all of that, not just manage the safety.
Because all the games I've run have been startup games. So not only am I trying to run athlete registrations, I'm trying to give venues all this contact information and fill gaps and do all of this other stuff.
Helping vendors get parts and set up. It's really a lot.
Yeah.
Operationally, it is a ton. 0.4 miles, short pump road. But there really is. There's a lot that goes into it, and I am beyond impressed with the board that handles the Greenville Games. Again, they have a good budget to work with. They're smart with it. They're responsible with it, and they pay to have a great festival.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you've got the intention of adding a pro class.
Sure it's there, but
we'll do a U-turn.
yeah, we'll
whatever. I got an edge.
Yes, I do want to do a pro class at Greenville at some point. Absolutely.
So that needs to happen. What about? Is there anything else that you like once you really get your feet under you with it? As a homeless guy, is there anything else that you would like to change up, do a little bit differently, kind of make your game, yours?
I've always, talking about the pro class as well, I've always appreciated the pro-am team competitions.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure that there's buy-in from both parties.
Yeah.
Whether that's a prize, it's cash, a trophy, whatever it is, you want to make sure that people aren't just phoning in their performance. But I've always appreciated that. And I think it's, sometimes we get so siloed off with, all right, well, we're Bs at this point, or then we're As, or then we're pros, or whatever. You get siloed off and you don't get to rub elbows with the other classes. And I think there's so much benefit.
Now, when you say team, do you mean a male and female team, or do you mean a pro and am team?
Completely mixed. Everything.
Oh.
Female pros, male pros, and female and male AMs.
Okay.
Mix it up, have teams, put it as a scoring system, put a big old prize at the top.
I like it. So would that be run similar to the open class, or are you talking about doing it a little bit differently than that?
How so?
So, like, there's the quote-unquote open that Danny Webster kind of pioneered on the East Coast, which is just the Scottish model of, hey, we pay out per event and per overall.
Right.
Do you mean something structured to that, or would it be like
it would be
pairing people together and do... Okay,
yeah.
So it wouldn't be register, put your money where your mouth is. It's very
And
pointed.
that is just purely ego with me. I just want to have control over something.
No, and that's fair. I mean, look at Chad. The only way Chad has stayed sane is by running all of his games as invite only. And, a couple of other vices that we won't mention on a recorded medium. But
no, but I think particularly for that first outing it certainly would be an invitational.
Okay.
And again, those athletes.
I swear to God, if you don't invite me.
Well, I was going to say, those athletes would be selected by, obviously, their athletic capability, but...
Right. I have the right of way. I have the right of way. Incoming traffic doesn't stop.
Nice. Well done, sir.
Yeah. I have a badge. How many times can I scream that at motorists?
It's been a lot this trip.
If anyone in this car has ever driven through Short Pump, Virginia, especially 2 days before Christmas, she picked the hotel on the outside of the mall, by the way. Why'd she do that to us?
I don't know, probably shopping. I don't know.
Yeah, fair. Your wife shopping while you're away? No.
They're having fun. That's what they're doing. Yeah. Well deserved.
You can go to the Funny Bone. The whole comedy club attached to the mall. Yeah. Oh, they have a draftcade over here? I haven't actually been to Short Pump in forever. I do love beer and games.
We'll just give Aveline a whole bunch of melatonin. And then when you get a call, you can come arrest me in about
This
3
isn't
hours.
my county, actually, so you're not my problem.
Perfect. Even better.
We're neighboring county, so I might know who arrests you. You can try and name drop me. So, all right. Well, we're encroaching upon your hotel, and this has been 25 minutes. This is, honestly, all the other ones ran long. This is about what I wanted to keep all these little ones at.
Good.
Is there anything else that just you want people to know about ADs and games, or anything that just grinds your gears? This is your moment to shine.
This may sound like, I don't know, Like I'm looking for some personal attention. I'm really not, but I would say with a lot of the ADs, just make sure you're telling them things. Make sure you're helping at the beginning of the games, at the end of the games, because they have a ton going on. Now, athletes, our day is still long. We have to travel, we have to warm up, you have to throw, break it all down and go home.
There? No, that's a different one.
I have no idea.
Did you have directions up 10 seconds?
Oh, yeah,
ago?
that's Hyatt House right there.
Okay.
It'd be the big one that says Hyatt House.
Well, I'm driving a different direction, and I thought my co-pilot had a GPS on. All right, so tell your ADs thank you.
Yes, show some, again, appreciation, because
Show
honestly,
some goddamn respect, you animals.
not to sound alarmist, but if we have some of these athletic directors who've been doing it forever and ever, and they get fed up with all of us, the games just won't exist.
Yeah.
They will just cease to exist. You have a lot of selfless people. Not me. I'm very selfish, but you have a lot of selfless athletic directors outside of me that keep this sport going.
It is very true, because, like, again, I haven't run a lot of games in a lot of places, but I've run a couple. And the one that we're going back to year after year, they wanted to do one for years, and they just couldn't find someone to run it. They needed someone to start the game with them.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't going to happen if that didn't occur. Of course, that guy just left his parking space over there.
You got a badge.
Yeah, I'll just park on the mulch. Whatever. Throw this bitch in four-wheel.
It is nuts to butts out here.
Dude, this is short pump, especially around the holidays. This is seventh circle of hell.
Oh, it's hot pot and barbecue.
Yeah, you know, the world famous whatever you just said. So, yeah, it does become really tough. I mean, if the ADs go, they go. And here's the thing. I think some ADs do need to go. I think you have some people, I said this on the other ones, and I'll keep ranting about it, because honestly, I'm curious if it sparks anything in you. I think that paying a registration fee is paying someone for a product, right?
Right.
Like, it's not just, I'm not paying you for the right to compete. I'm paying you, I should get something. That something is just an experience. I don't think you're entitled to necessarily more than that, but
there should be a consideration and an exchange of something.
Yeah, I should be somewhere on the priority level. Maybe not number one, but I mean, within the top three for sure, you know? Because your AD does have to keep the venue happy, and they do have, you know, sponsors and things, but your athlete should be, if not number one, it should be number three, you know?
I know. I mean, I would argue that they should be number one. Obviously, you know,
I agree
safety.
too, because you're the athletic director. Like, if I was going to be really, I'm trying to be slightly more understanding here,
right.
You know? Because if someone handed me $5,000 and said, I'm going to fund your game, that person gets a little bit of consideration because I couldn't do it without them, you know?
But, you know, to your point of maybe there's some directors out there that should give up, you know, or release the games. I get that because, one, just outside of age and capability, but there is some, you know, some guarding of how things are run, of how monies are distributed. And it's not beneficial to the sport if somebody else isn't learning that or getting access to those resources, because eventually we're all just going to fucking die. You have to have someone who can pick it up and run the game.
Am I taking crazy pills right now?
No, I think that guy's taking crazy pills.
I swear to God. I may just be dropping you at the door. Where's Mary's car? Is she going to come out and meet us so we can throw stuff into the car? That would make a lot of sense.
I'm just going to wheel it up in a hotel buggy.
All right. But no. Okay, cool. I wondered what your take was on me being that, because I do try to throttle back, because I realize part of it is me being cynical and a bit of a princess. You know, like, I get it, and I try to be aware of that. That took some work.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a BMW completely covered in Christmas lights. They're not turned on either.
This is kind of the time you would have them turned on.
You would think that 2 days before Christmas at 6:30 at night, you would turn them on.
It's your time to shine. But
why did you wait until there was a car coming?
You should just have 45 minutes of you in traffic.
Yeah, I'll just keep it. No, you have to fucking stop. Jesus Christ. He's the reason for the season. That's why I'm saying it. Not because I'm really mad. Seeing these guys are going to crawl, I swear. So, okay, cool. I try to keep in check that sometimes I am being just a little narcissistic and a little, I wish it was this way. But I do try to temper it with, like, we kind of have to push people to be a little better. I think if we all just stay the same, that's stupid.
You're talking about athletic directors included. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes people are fearful of that because they don't want to lose invites or some pros.
And I'm not getting invited to shit, so you know what? Hey, cool. Some of you suck.
Well, generally it takes someone with that kind of mindset, or that they're not really tethered to money, or again, I'll harken back to my team, or my tenure as the Team South captain.
Just fuck it up.
Kind of just said fuck it.
I like that this guy pulled in the thing the wrong way. That's good.
Is that the Christmas light Beamer?
Oh. No, it's a different BMW. Oh. But you can rest assured, if it's a poor driving vehicle, it's a BMW. So, all right, buddy. Well, thanks.
Oh,
what the? Oh, it's a bullet.
What do you keep in your pants?
I thought it was something else. It's usually about that size. It's a little narrow, but it's really hard. So, that's a great note to go out on.